I was talking over. Everything good?
Everything's good.
Everything good. Jeremy, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right. I don't know how I become a speaker. But last year, I was there where you said, make a noise. I was talking about Mr. Bell. He's the king of 7 queens. He's the king. And I can't wait to see him to let him know that he is the king. With 7 queens. I picked this up. Somebody told me to deliver this message. And I know you know who he is. Today belongs to us. Tomorrow belongs to God. Look at it. Every morning you wakes up, it's a new day. You look in the mirror and you see who? See you. It's up to you to say, I'm beautiful. I got love. And you can share that. But first of all, you got to know how to accept love. You got to love yourself. You can't love nobody if you don't love yourself. I don't care what you got, where you going. Pardon me? Oh my goodness, wait. You got me. But I can't wait. But listen, I was about 7 years old. And I passed the mirror in the bathroom. And it kind of scared me, 7 years old. So I looked back, and I ain't seen nothing but a dark spot. And that was me. And that spot let me know that I was beautiful. And where there's beautiful, I know I look good. Because good goes along with looking beautiful. And if you can do that, don't look back. Don't look back. Always look forward where you're going. I got this platform for a young man that I was trying to give him some wisdom. And I was telling him these things. How you pick it up. You can't pick it up if you don't have it. You got to get it. And it starts with you. Look in the mirror. Look in the mirror and you will see. You got to love yourself or you love anything. You can't even love a cat if you don't love yourself. Because that's a moment God gives you to tell someone, I love you. You can't take it back. You can't take that moment back. That's a moment God gave you at that time. And it ain't nothing but a blessing. A real strong blessing. And the team before me, they took up my time because that was good. Because I got to go. And I don't see the young man I was talking to. But somebody would deliver this message. And Mr. Bell, congratulations again, brother. You know I love you. Man, you the king of the castle. You got 7 queens that you got to be a king for. And you know how to do that. You know how to do that. Yes, sir. They tell me 2 things you should do. Do a jigsaw puzzle and play a game of chess. That'll keep you from looking back. Yeah, when you look back, you're gonna make mistakes. Just think about it. Don't even look back. And listen, I think that's all I can say for right that moment. But I got that off my chest. And thank y'all for listening. I hope you picked up some of this wisdom.
Hey.
Thank you.
Hey.
Good afternoon. How's everybody doing? I am so happy to be here. This program has been God-inspired. When we were talking about doing Juneteenth, God put it on my heart that we needed to hear from our men, that we needed to hear from our brothers, because our brothers have so much to say. They have so much wisdom that we just seem to gloss over, because we live in a society that gives our men no value. And people were saying, you know, it's Juneteenth. What I wanted to make sure Juneteenth didn't turn into was another party, because we didn't have plenty of time for parties. And what worried me when they made it a national holiday was how close it was to Father's Day. And we live in a society right now that doesn't give men,
it's either one or the other.
you know, they don't give men a lot of energy anyway, because mothers, we always get it all on Mother's Day. I hear fathers all the time. And then I'm thinking, well, if they're not giving men any energy, then black men really ain't about to get nothing. And that's unacceptable for us. You all are our kings, you're our brothers, you're our sons. We love you, and we want to stand by you. We want to help our kids understand why we have to stay connected, because our families, family is the foundation of everything. And the reason they assault our families is because they don't want to see us succeed. So our next group of speakers that we're going to invite to the stage are three gentlemen that understand the whole system of marriage. I have a great deal of respect for all of these men. Most of them, I know their wives, have been in their lives 25, 30-something, and 40-something years. So I feel very, very blessed to bring these brothers to the stage. And I thank God also that He's blessed me in my life to know so many good men. On Father's Day, I know so many that I don't even get to call them all. So I don't know what the world says, but I know what my life represents, and we're going to bring that to the forefront to help us remember who we are. So we're going to welcome to the stage Brother Chris Battle, Brother Salahuddin Muhammad, and Brother Larry Williams. Okay. Brother Bless. You got your, did I send you your bio?
You did.
Okay, this is Chris Battle, Brother Bless. This is Brother Larry Williams, and you can read them. Brother Lee, I'm sorry. I'm thinking about Larry Robinson. Okay. I don't think so, but just be comfortable from your heart. That's all. And this is Brother Salahuddin coming up. I'm gonna get off the stage.
All right, so we got another panel of brothers. You know what I'm saying? So this is a day full of the knowledge. You feel me, man? We gonna get it today. Wisdom. Got you. There we go. So, Chris Battle, raise your hand. All right, so I'm gonna read this bio out for Mr. Chris Battle real quick. Chris Battle, DJ Battle, NCCU alumni. Okay, with a bachelor's degree in finance. My wife is graduated from Central too. There you go. He is the founder and host of the Foundation Podcast, a professional award-winning disc jockey of 35 years experience. He also has had 22 years experience as a married man with 3 beautiful kids. And you ended it right there, brother. And next year, man, we're gonna require your services. We're gonna go and get you out here, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna go ahead and read these bios first, and then let them talk. Next, we got Mr. Leroy Williams Jr. Raise your hand, brother. Raise your hand. All right, and he's a native of Durham, North Carolina. His parents are Leroy and Lena Williams. He is a 1977 graduate of Hillside High School. Y'all beat us a few times, man. Listen, even in my I went to Mirrabrook, the school out here. Every time we make it to the playoffs, all coach talked about was either Hillside or other one, 71st, I think. But yeah, a graduate of Hillside, located in Durham. After graduating, he enrolled in Winston-Salem State University, where he majored in business administration with a minor in computer science. A walk-on to the football team ultimately earning an athletic scholarship after graduating in 1981, which was the year I was born. Joined the Durham City Police Department. Okay, my brother, rising to the rank. You can listen. You can tell I'm just reading this for the first time. Joined to the City Police Department in Durham, rising to the rank of lieutenant. After 31 years, retired February 2012 from the Durham City Police Department. He joined Fayetteville State University Police as a captain, retiring in 2018, earned a master's in business administration from Pfeiffer University. In 2014, enjoying traveling and watching sports events, married to Mallory, am I saying that right? Mallory Tucker Williams, and from the union are 2 adult children and 2 grandchildren currently attending Manor Church in Fayetteville, North Carolina, and that was Mr. Leroy Williams Jr. Now, the wisdom. I'm pretty sure she sent this to me. Let me see here. Y'all give me a second.
Just stay in one spot for 1 second.
Okay, say stop moving.
Stop it.
All right. Last but not least, Dr. Muhammad, who has served as a chaplain of the NYS Department of Corrections for 30 years, providing spiritual guidance and empowering Muslim inmates to break the vicious cycle of recidivism. All right. He has led urban, suburban, multi-ethnic, and multicultural communities through his decades of service, including, you're gonna have to help me out, including Masjid. Okay, I don't think I'm gonna get this. Okay, hold on. So these are mosques. Okay, so including two mosques, one in Raleigh, one in New York. He has served as president of the Association of Muslim Chaplains for the past 7 years and is now president. Miss Moon, where's Miss Moon at? All right. Come in, Miss Mona. Emeritus. He has also been a professor at 4 colleges teaching world religion. He is currently the vice president of the Muslim Endorsement Council. He is also the board member of Muslim Alliance in North Carolina, MENA. Look, Miss Moon, this is what I'm finna do, y'all. Y'all bear with me. Cause there's some words I ain't quite used to. You know what I'm saying? His name is Moon.
He served as first of all, he's my brother. I've known him almost 40 years. Thank you, God. He served as president, where are you? He has been an adjunct professor at 4 colleges, teaching a world religion course. He is currently the vice president of the Muslim Endorsement Council, MEC. He is also a board member of Muslim Alliance in North America, MENA. Salahuddin obtained a doctor of ministry degree in Islamic Studies, Christian Muslim Relations from Hartford Seminary, and an honorary doctorate degree in Humane Letters from Global Workers of God Seminary and University. He is presently the Dean of Islamic Studies at GODSU. He's been married to Fonda Kit Muhammad, my good girl, Fonda, for almost 4 decades. And I knew them before they got married. That's why I can say 40 years. Has 5 children, 10 grandchildren, and 2 great-grandchildren. So blessed that I did what I was supposed to do?
You did it.
Okay.
Did it right.
So, and we're going to hear from these brothers on marriage, like I said, which is the foundation of our community. So I'm going to move in. I'm going to let you handle this.
So how y'all brothers want to kick off this this marriage? I got some mics. Whichever one of y'all want to start.
All right. Hello, how's everyone doing today? Good. Definitely want to shout out all the fathers. You know, like Mona say, the queens always get it, but you know, today we're gonna let the brothers get it. But yeah, first thing I noticed is I need to update, you know, my intro. You know, it's now 24 years instead of 22. Yes. But I would like to say that, you know, I had three lovely children. I have 2 daughters, one 22, the other 16, and a 10-year-old son. You know, y'all were 6 years apart by plan. I wanted to give them each a chance to, you know, be spoiled, and each a chance to, you know, not feel competitive when the other one comes along. But the first thing I think of is the foundation, which is what I call my podcast. But my foundation would be my upbringing. I grew up on the west side of Detroit, born and raised there. I seen both sides of it. I seen, you know, the pre-crack era up until, you know, the wasteland has become. And the only way I was able to, you know, navigate through those waters was, I would definitely say, you know, the balance of having a father and a mother. But definitely, you know, because the mother's, she's the nurturer, and my father, he's more like the coach. You know, he was military driven. The first thing that comes to mind is, you know, is the trips he would take me and my brother to go fishing. While everyone else was, you know, doing everything in the streets, my father would, you know, always take us fishing, and that's when those conversations would come into play, you know, where, you know, first of all, about our history. So our whole mindset was different, because we always remember his words, you know, first being a fisherman, but also those lessons and the importance of knowing who your people were, so you have a pride about yourself. Also, you know, to accept people from all walks of life, because, you know, everyone's spiritual path is a unique one, you know, so we come in alone, we leave alone. But I remember those lessons to the day. Of course, I fast forward, you know, I remember meeting my queen at the CD Superstore in Durham, and I knew right then and there that was the one. And, you know, we courted for about 4 years. We focused more on our education. We had a plan. We had our first child while she was in her first year of medical school. So being a DJ and being in music, I had to kind of make a career shift. Like, okay, because I need to be more stable, you know, for my kids, because I knew what my kids would be up against. I didn't want no one else to have any influence or be the first teacher first. So while she was studying medical school, I was pretty much taking a non-traditional role of being home the whole time, and of course we met Mona during this period of time. This is like, you know, 20 plus years ago. You know, to fast forward, you know, the thing I've done with my kids is just, you know, the same thing my father done for me, which is be there for them, but, you know, more than anything else, put them in many activities, be involved, you know, giving them real, honest conversation about, you know, the world. And my oldest just graduated from college, North Carolina, Greensboro, University of North Carolina, Greensboro. She just graduated. She's now doing production and theater and dance. My 16-year-old daughter, she's a rising senior. She's already AutoCAD certified, already champion certified, Revit certified, so she can technically build your house at 16 years old. And then my son, he plays about three instruments. Actually, all my kids play piano, guitar, and, you know, a myriad of instruments, because I'm in the music. My
whites. 1 2 1 2. 2 1 2. 2 1 2.
What's happening? What's happening?
1 2.
Switch them out. You want to switch?
1 2. Okay, here I am. All right. All 3 of my kids are, you know, musically inclined, because, like I said, I keep them all busy. I keep them busy, and you know, my queen, I wish she was here. I hope she's out here. Jamila, she's a triple boarded physician, you know, from,
All right, go over there.
you know, from Duke University to University of North Carolina Medical, University of Michigan. And she has 3 board certifications. So we run a sleep medicine company, and just partnership with Google. But because we have pretty much board certification in almost every state. But we run a tight ship. You know, we keep the kids involved, and for us the key ingredient was, you know, being a partnership. Of course, I take the lead, but you know, the queens also take the lead. But I'm just doing what my father instructed me to do, and it's, you know, it's kind of emotional because I was listening to the speakers earlier, and it was you know, it was like listening to him. And in fact, you know, he passed, you know, 6 years today. So it was that, you know, so he fought ALS for like 7 years. That whole 7 years he fought ALS, and I don't know if anyone's seen someone pass from ALS or go through it. You basically become a prisoner in your body. He never complained one time, not one time. He never complained. So I was, you know, I saw a whole different side of strength of him. I never saw him complain. So I said, you know what? If he don't complain, and he's been through this all the way up to his last breath, and I can't complain anything. And it also taught me to live for the day and not just put everything off to, you know, to retire, you know, the golden years, as they like to say. You got to enjoy the day as well. But yeah, that's all I wanted to share. But I'm definitely prepared for, you know, any questions we have. But thank you for allowing me to speak, Mona, and I'm pass it to the next elder.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to begin my little talk by giving all praise to the Most High, all praise to the one who created the heavens and the earth and everything in between, and say that I'm thankful to Him for blessing me to be here with you today. It is really a true blessing to be here. I'm so happy that my sister Muna, we used to call her Muna Moon, invited me to be here with you today. So I've been married 38 years, and I'm still in love with my wife. My wife and I, we have a business. I work for the Department of Correction, and I work with individuals where I was trying to get them to not come back to prison, because everything was set up for them to come back to prison. And I would come in and I would tell them that whatever you did, don't let that define who you are. Don't let that define who you are, because God said He created you to be honorable and dignified. And that would wake them up and get them on the right track. And there are many of them to this day that didn't go back to prison. That they're doing very good outside, taking care of their families, doing constructive things, paying their taxes and all of the rest of it. So I know that marriage is the foundation. In our belief, and I'm talking from Bible and Quran, it's about getting married. It's not about a man and a woman just coming together, living together. A man pick a woman up and say, it's me and you. And just because I go into you doesn't mean that now I'm married to you. There was always some kind of ceremony that was next to a person being married. If you even think about the slaves who had masters over them, they still would come together and jump the broom because there was a ceremonial aspect attached to it. And the man knew that he couldn't do but so much, but still marriage is very important. And the man in our religion is the Qawam, and the Qawam is the provider and the protector. And the man is the one who's called the breadwinner. Well, today now everybody say, oh, we don't even talk about breadwinner no more. You know, brother and sister get together, they say 50-50. They say 50-50, we down together. That's not the way we came up. And I know in Bible and Quran it didn't say that that's the way it was, but the conditions have gotten so bad, and in terms of people having the money, not able to take care of it, the man had to have help from his wife. But still, in Islam, we say that whatever the wife gives, we have to recognize it as a gift because it's our responsibility. So the men in the community are important. I am so impressed with you and your family, and I say this, and I'm sure I'm gonna be impressed with you as well. We have strong men in the community, and we should utilize those men, to have those men be models for us. It only takes one. It doesn't take a whole group. Margaret Mead said there was never a large group of people that changed anything. It was always a small group of people. So if you have this small group of people coming together, helping people to recognize that it's a big scheme. The devil got a big scheme out there to take you off your post as being a man and being a woman. And you caught right up in it. So we have to teach them and show them that they have not yet taken responsibility of their own lives, whereas they're not being moved by what tastes good. You understand what I'm saying? Things taste good, but they ain't always good for you. So we have to be in control of ourselves and be very intentional. So being a married man, having children, having grandchildren, having great-grandchildren, the whole idea is to be an example for them. Now I know this might touch people a way that they don't want to be touched, but I still believe that drinking and smoking and doing those kinds of things that people say is getting high, to me that's getting low. We don't need to do that. If you high or for life, you don't need to get anything in your system to make you feel like you high, because it's always crashing. But if you high or for life, there's no crash. There's no crash because you're giving yourself to God. And so I believe that if you're giving yourself to God, then you're going to be okay. There's just too many things for us to do, for us to just be people thinking that it's about a party. Partying from sun up and sun down. Too much to do. So in terms of being a married man, I'm saying to people, and I didn't mention this, I said we have a business. I never said what it was, right? The name of our business is Mars. And I tell the people, you don't have to leave the earth to go to Mars. You don't have to leave the earth to come to Mars. Mars represents Muhammad's marriage and relationship services. So my wife and I do premarital counseling. We believe that many of the men and women need to have premarital counseling before they tie that knot, because they need to really know what they're getting into. And a lot of them don't know, and so a lot of times their marriages don't last but a hot minute. So if they get the premarital counseling, the statistics show that those marriages last longer. They last longer because we know a lot of the people from the old school, they're all right. But the new ones, the people that's coming now, get the premarital counseling. We do that, and we also counsel people who are married already. So we use an assessment tool that was created by Christian, by the way, that says SYMBIS, save your marriage before it starts. And if it's a couple that's already married, it's save your marriage before what's it? Starts. Before it starts. Save your marriage before it ends. I forget the word. I'm 72 years old, so sometimes I forget. 72, you understand? But we talk to people, we find out that so many marriages in our communities are suffering. And I'm gonna tell you one of the reasons why I think the marriages are suffering. Because people have gotten away from Scripture. They've gotten away from Scripture. For me, the Quran is my book of guidance. For Christians and Jews, the Bible is their book of guidance. But people have gotten away from it, and so it's like Satan or the Shaitan or the devil is ruling. And that's not what God wants for us. He wants us to be in control of our own lives. So, to me, again, and I'm going to pass the mic on, marriage is important because it teaches you to be responsible, to man up, to do what you have to do. I love what you said about 6 years apart, so it was very intentional, giving every child what they want and not taking the woman just as soon as you get the baby out, going in again, before she even healed. And people have done that. So yours is very intentional, and I appreciate that for you. Be intentional with your children. Be intentional with your wife. One of the things that my wife told me when we got married, she said, you gotta keep it young and fresh. She said, promise me that you're gonna keep it young and fresh. And I said, I will. Now every now and then, you might get in a rut. So because you get in a rut, you got to be spontaneous. And what does spontaneity mean? It means you say, drop everything, let's go. And y'all go somewhere. Keep that thing alive. 38 years, going for 38 more. Thank you.
Okay.
Hello? like to
first of all, identify my wife here in the African attire.
Okay.
Okay, and if you take a direct visual of just beyond her are my grandkids, and they're sitting underneath the umbrella. That's Michaela and Christian. Those are my grandkids, and I'm sure that everyone on the panel will agree that our grandkids are just a special part of our family, and we embrace them each and every day. My lovely wife, they're sitting there. I met her first in the 8th grade, and when people hear about that, they kind of are shocked. But I met her in the 8th grade. She was living in a home in Durham. I lived in Durham. She lived probably maybe 5 miles away. I never knew her, but growing up as a kid. But as I began to analyze our geographical locations, the churches that we attended back then, I realized that we were always within close proximity, maybe 2 blocks. Her family attended Mount Vernon Baptist Church, and my family attended Lincoln Memorial. And they were a few blocks, but we never knew each other in those early years. But there's a common denominator that families have. And one of the key denominators, and I'm sure that the panel will agree, is that of faith. Our families were really involved in making sure that we attended church and worship services. And I would spend my summers here in Raleigh. That's amazing, with my grandfather, Gus Williams. And my grandfather was crazy about religion in the sense that come Sunday morning, we had to go to church. And that was something that we had to do. And he was very adamant that we did that. But Mallory, as we grew and we decided after high school to start dating each other, and then eventually married in 1982, and really in the initial stages of marriage, I fashion it to riding a ship. And I say a Carnival Cruise Line ship, because you're going on a cruise, and of course in those initial stages of our marriage, we went on a cruise, a Carnival cruise, and I think once we entered the room, it looked like a Navy ship. And we said, wow, this thing is really messed up here. But once we exited the room and went out and got up on the deck and started interacting with people, we realized that, oh, wow, this is great. You know, this is a great situation. So I'm glad that on the naval ship, or I call it a Navy ship because they had ports on it, and you can look out windows, and they had bunk beds in it. It seemed like they hadn't converted it at that point. But it was the beginning of our marriage. And one of the things that you have to do, or you need to do, is find out what your wife or spouse likes. And my wife loves to travel, and she loves to entertain. And I may not be of that type of attitude about it, but I have to embrace that, because as we look at Proverbs, we see where iron sharpens iron. And that's what happens in the marriage. Your spouse is making you a better person. Essentially, your spouse is making you a better person. So there's a proverb that talks about iron sharpening iron. And as we moved on in our marriage, and of course, I'm sure that sitting among us, you don't see people that run into difficult situations in their marriage. But we always will hit turbulent waters. Just recently, a few weeks ago, if you kept up with all the situation down near Charleston, South Carolina, where a ship ran into a storm. And that's what happens in a marriage. You'll run into a storm. And one of the things that happened to me, I remember many years ago, and maybe 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, something came to me in the midst of the storm. A verse in the Bible, and it talks about being patient. Psalm 40 talks about being patient. Patiently, I waited for the Lord. Okay, so you have to be patient in a marriage. And then the verse goes on to say, he inclined unto me, and he heard my cry. So you have to listen to him, and you have to open up your heart and say, Lord, come into my heart and address any type of situation that I'm having in my marriage or in my life. And once you allow him to come into your life, once you allow him to come into your life, once you open up your heart and allow him to come in your heart, the Lord will come in and address the issue that you will have. But you have to first open your heart, and then he'll move on and he'll set your feet on a rock, and a solid rock. And if you're sitting out here, you'll see people walking on rocks, walking on cement. He'll set your feet on a solid rock. And once he sets your feet on a solid rock, you can deal with just about anything that you experience in a marriage. Because as the devil or any type of violent storm, as if you're in a cruise, attacks you or your family, you're on a rock, and he will allow you to move on. And as life goes on, when you encounter other situations, go back to your Psalm 40, and that will help you through just about anything. So those are important things that you have to do in a marriage. I found that trying to identify things that my wife likes to do, and oftentimes I'll find out, even though I don't want to go, I go anyway.
There you go, that's right.
I go anyway. And you know something? 90% of the time, I'm happy. I'm happy because we're together. And, you start off as two, but at some point, you become one. You become one, and you move forward and deal with situations. So, again, embrace her. My wife, she was an educator. She was a teacher. So when you marry someone, you got to find out, okay, what are the skill sets here? So when the kids were growing up, Tiffany and Jason, when Mallory made a suggestion about their educational route that they were taking, we identified Christian schools in the early years, and that made all the difference in their development. And so when we were dealing with financial situations, I tend to deal with those situations differently than my wife, because I grew up in a kind of a situation where we really didn't have a lot. So I was kind of very, very economically sound. I'll say that. I'll use that word as I dealt with my finances. So she's allowed me to take on that role in our family. So understanding the skill set, what your wife, spouse brings to the table, and allow them to flourish. Allow them to have a stage where they can do what they want to do. And again, it's not always about you. It's about how your wife is doing and making sure, because once she's happy, you all can be happy. You all can be happy. And so just leaving a verse here, again, is really going back to that proverb. It's really about iron sharpening iron, and making sure that she's making me better, I'm making her better. And that's resulting in, come next week, it'll be 41 years of marriage. 41 years. And it's been a blessing. Thank you.
All right, if you look in the back, it want to go dead on me. If you look in the back where the banner, let me see the other mic. If you look in the back where the banner at, that's my lovely wife Jamila's back there. She's selling her book. It was a bestseller. She wrote it 6 years ago. From Abuse to Abundance. It's her personal memoir. It was a bestseller. The previous speaker just said about the boat analogy, because I think one of the most important things about a marriage is it is like a boat, and a lot of people make the mistake of giving someone else a paddle to that boat. And I think the best advice I've received was, always remember, it's only 2 paddles in the boat. You have one, she has one. You can't let nobody else get their opinion and try to navigate your boat. And it works for us. And another thing I like what he said is paying attention to the gifts of your child. I was able to isolate each child's gift and point them first of all, put them in a lot of activities so I can kind of narrow it down. You got to put the time and effort into your kids. Spend a lot of quality time, as much as you possibly can, to recognize their gifts and challenge them. Whatever their weaknesses in. Put them in situations where they have to strengthen, because and I give them incentives the same way they would get in the real world. Okay, what do you want to do? You want to get X, Y, Z? Well, you got to perform. So but first is the classroom. We make sure that they get everything done in the classroom, and that's pretty much it. It's every day is a new journey. Don't take a single day for granted. And like I say, with my father's experience, that right there showed me don't take a single day for granted. I definitely don't. I make sure that any chance we get, we go traveling, whether it's a cruise, whether it's going fishing, or simply a trip to the park. So we definitely don't waste a single moment. Anything you want to add?
I wanted to mention that when we moved to Raleigh, North Carolina in 2013, because we was coming down to visit family and friends in Durham. So we actually was going to live in Durham, but the houses that we saw didn't really turn us on. So the realtor said, we got 2 more houses and they both in Raleigh. We said, okay. So we looked at one that was spanking brand new in a new development. And we looked at another that was a ranch with high ceilings that was 10 years old. That's the one we went with. That's good. We had to walk up all them steps, up and down, and it wound up being in Ghana. So we actually live in Ghana, and it was good because we were able to help the small Islamic community of African Americans in Raleigh. So we had 4 children together. Yeah, we had 4 children together, and we felt like the nest was empty. We went to Jamaica, we went to Mexico, doing things, just me and my wife. But God had another plan for us. He said, y'all ain't finished parenting. He said, y'all gonna parent some more, because one of my sons was suffering from being bipolar and doing other things. And so we took his daughter when she was 3. And she's been with us since that time. She's 11 now, so we're parenting again. And within that time frame, he died. So it wasn't a big transition for her because she was already with us. Yeah. But we thought we did what we were supposed to do with our children, and we felt that it was our time, and God said, nope, you're going to be parenting again, and that means that we're going to have, what about a few more years with her because she's just 11. So, you know, she's going to middle school, then she's going to go to high school, and then from high school, she's going to college. So we thank God for it. Believe me. Whatever God says, I believe it, and I stand on it. What you said, sir, about having faith is very important. Whatever your faith tradition is, you need to hold on to that. And if you hold on to that, you won't go astray. If you hold on to that, you'll be blessed in every situation you get in. Every situation you get in.
I just want to make sure that before we even conclude, is to make sure that there's an important piece that as married couples should try to do, and that is that of service. That is service of community. So if you have your spouse come together and serve. This event here is one of the big events that we make sure that we put on our list or prioritize and attend and support, because through service, that blesses us. And so by blessing others, and our attitude is try to help the least of these in our communities and doing things of that nature. So part of the marriage and coming together is really enjoying working together from time to time with my wife on different projects that she comes up with. And yes, she does come up with a lot of projects. And so I try to make sure that we come together and we work together. Mallory and Leroy and Mallory. It's a corporation, really. When you marry somebody, it's a corporation. Just go ahead and say what it really is. It's a covenant that's a corporation. So in order for your corporation to move forward and make sure that along the way that you serve people. Yes. And make sure that people are served, youth groups. And when I heard about this program here, what Sister Mona was doing, immediately my attitude and my wife's attitude is about support. And support and being there to do whatever we can to help and make sure the program moves forward. Thank you.
Good? I believe that's it. We can go.
No, hold on.
Okay, yeah, no, we're not wrapping up yet.
I'm behind her. I got everything.
Yes. We just wanted to thank all of you all for participating with us today.
Camera 3.
Like I said, Chris, I've known you and your wife for 20-something years, so I'll be 40-something. And your wife and me used to work together at W.G. Pearson when we looked up with a little boy. And it's an honor to grow and be an elder and be able to look back and have these kinds of relationships with people that supersede blood. You know, this is God's spirit. So no matter what your faith walk is, if God is the head of that, then He's going to keep moving along with everybody else. Because God didn't just make one tree. We got all different kinds of trees. You know, you don't want to see the palm tree over here in the Oak City of the Oaks. That's where the oaks grow. When I was a kid, one of my favorite things, I was 9 years old and I saw those giant redwood trees in California. And I said, I'm gonna go and see those trees one day. Now I didn't have no money because we lived in a house that didn't have no high running water. But I put it in my vision, and one day God blessed me to go. And I have to tell you, I was so humbled by that experience, because when God is really working with you and moving with you, there's nothing you can't do. And the reason I invited all of you all is because I just so admire the men that I know. And your narrative is not being told, and we today decided we were going to tell it. And this isn't going to be the first day. We're going to need you back. Because like we said, I know we're winning. That's why they're coming so hard. And many of us are old enough to remember those traditional values, and we have to be able to bridge. I'm 65 now, and sometimes my patience be a little short with the new folks, so I'm gonna need some of y'all to help me out. But as my sister Tamisha reminded me, if someone hasn't been taught, then they don't know. And we have enough wisdom and experience and wealth in our community. I was telling Tamisha the other day, they always talk about African American communities as being low wealth communities. If that's true, why does everybody have a business in your neighborhood but you? Why does everybody have a business in your neighborhood but you? And we are here with TMT Community Foundation because we're trying to raise awareness for all of our children, not just the children of the people here that have the like minds, but all of the children. And one thing our kids learn from example. So if our kids don't see us feeding into ourselves, they're not gonna feed into themselves. And part of the problems we're having is our own value of low worth. You understand? We out partying today, and I'm not against parties. But we better be about building. And I am here because I met this young woman 20 years ago. She walked into my office and had a vision for our children. She said we have to teach them to tell their own story. Because if you don't tell your story, somebody's gonna tell it for you. And like I tell people, we walk around and we talk about we got disposable income. When did any income become disposable? But they play these tricks with our minds. So TMT is here to teach our children how to tell the narrative. This time last year, we didn't have the cyber bears. We now have a robotics program thanks to the people like you that supported us. And we have to ask each other for support. It amazes me that we go and give our money to everybody else, and we don't ask them to help support our children. So it's okay for corporations, but corporations are not gonna do any more for you than you're gonna do for yourself. You sound like a lunatic asking. So again, when you're thinking about that extra set of nails, or that extra hair, or that extra meal from Uber or whatever, think about your children, your future. And that is what TMT stands for. And we are going to continue. We're going to ask our community. We're here today because we want a steering committee for next year for this event. It doesn't bother me what's going on in the stands out here. What God put on this stage today was the very best of the best. And I'm just so humble. I'm just so humble. Let me give it to Tanisha.
That was Mama Muna, y'all. That was Mama Muna. She it's years ago, 20 years, I'm gonna date myself. It's 23 years, because I got here in 2000, and I was teaching school at Jordan High School in Durham. But I was not a school teacher. I was a marketer coming from WEEP Radio in Huntsville, Alabama, and I'd been taught by a millionaire who owned an insurance agency and a radio station. And when I got into